third grade MyMath book, and we will be working on pages 139 and 140 today. Estimate differences. Sometimes you want to find an estimate instead of an exact answer. You can estimate differences to the nearest 100 or nearest 10. Math in my world. China has more than 3,728 miles of high-speed train tracks. Japan has more than 1,518 miles of high-speed tracks. About how many more miles of high-speed tracks does China have? And when you see these words, about, that's estimate, and how many more tells us we are going to subtract. So we're going to round each number in 3,728 and 1,518 to find the estimate. So let's round them to the nearest 100. So 3,728, let's look at the 700. Look next door, there's a 2. That 2 is small, so 7 stays the same. 1,518, let's look at the 5 because it's the hundreds. And right next door is a 1. That 1 is small, so the 5 stays the same. And now we could subtract 0 minus 0. Then the 10, 0 minus 0. 700 minus 500 is 200. And 3,000 minus 1,000 is 2,000. So to the nearest 100, there are about 2,200 more miles of high-speed tracks in China. Now let's round to the nearest 10. So if we look at the tens place, here's the tens place. This is the tens. So I have 2, and then next door is an 8. That number's bigger than 5, so the 2 will turn into a 3, which is 30. And let's look at this one. There's a 1. Next door is an 8, which is bigger than 5, so the 10 right here will turn into a 2, which is 20. And now let's subtract. 0 minus 0. 30 minus 20 is 10. 700 minus 500 is 200. And 3,000 minus 1,000 is 2,000. So now it's 2,210. So 2,210. And these two numbers are pretty close. It's just here we round it to the nearest 10, and here we round it to the nearest 100. So each estimate is reasonable. There can be more than one reasonable estimate when solving a problem. So even though these numbers are not exactly the same, they're pretty close. If we were to round this number to the nearest 100, we would get this answer. So that helps us see that we have the right answer. Let's go to page 140. You're not always told to which place value to round a number. You should round to the greatest place value. So if your number is in the hundreds place, let's round to the hundreds. If the number only goes to the tens place, then we'll just round to the tens, okay? So example number 2. A museum has 237 works of art on its first floor. The second floor has 349 works of art. About how many more works of art are found on the second floor? So we see here, how many more? That tells us we're subtracting. And this word about tells us we're going to estimate, okay? So 349 minus 237. 349, second floor. 237 was on the first floor. So the greatest place value position is 300 and 200. So it is the hundreds place. Both numbers are in the hundreds place. So when we round those numbers, 349, the 4 tells the 3 to stay the same, 300. 237, the 3 says stay the same, so 200. And when you subtract mentally, 300 minus 200 is 100. So there are about 100 more. When we're rounding, we just say there's about 100 more. Now here, estimate 488 minus 351. Round each number to the tens place. Now if the question says to round to the tens place, then we must round to the tens place. But if it doesn't, then we would round to the greatest place value, okay? So 488, let's look at the tens. There's an 8. Look next door, that's an 8. So that says make this one go up. So 490 minus 351, let's look at the tens place, that's a 5. Next door is a 1. This number's small, so the 5 gets to stay the same. 350. Now let's subtract. 0 minus 0. 90 minus 50 is 40. And 400 minus 300 is 100. So we have 140 for that one when we rounded. Let's look at number 2. Estimate 542 minus 225. Round each number to the greatest place value. So the greatest place value would be the hundreds place. So I have a 500, next door is a 4, so the 5 stays the same. 200, next door is a 2, so the 2 stays the same because that number is small. And then we subtract. 500 minus 200 is 300.